Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Finn Lukens. I am a Sixers fan and a fan of all Philadelphia sports as of today. That is, until I watch the latest Sixers game. Now, for any of you that are Philadelphia fans, I don't blame you if you turned your TV off around the beginning of the fourth quarter, if not earlier. Anyone who was watching the game saw that it was a complete wreck, from times where the Sixers went up by double digits to points where the Sixers were down by double digits. Even if the Sixers were up by double digits, it could snap like that in an instant. So as an enraged Sixers fan, I want to go over some of the reasons why I think the Sixers lost. Now, first off, I have here in front of me a box score of all the stats from the Sixers game. Now, the one that I looked at most after I was done screaming at my TV for about 5 to 10 minutes about how there's no possible way that that shot could have bounced in, and it did, unfortunately. I looked at one stat, which, right here, this little FGM-A, field goals made, over attempted. Now, this is the one stat that is important in every game, obviously, because obviously, it shows you how many field goals you make, and if you don't make enough field goals, you don't win the game because you simply don't have enough points. But the one stat I want to look at in particular, let alone the fact that I'm disappointed Joel Embiid shot 6 for 18, or that JJ Redick, while he's not an incredible shooter or reliable, shot 5 for 11, the one I want to focus on is Mr. Jimmy Buckets, the forward playing 43 minutes, and in those 43 minutes, shooting 14 times, not including 6 free throws, but with 6 free throws on the side, and making 5, not 6, not 8, not even close to 14, but 5 field goals. Only one of those being 3 points after the 6 that he attempted. Now, there's a reason that in Philadelphia, people call Jimmy Butler Jimmy Buckets, and it's because the only reason the Sixers have survived at this point in the series, or had survived, I should say, was because Jimmy Butler was putting up incredible points. Let's take a look at some of the other games in the series. While this doesn't show all of Jimmy Butler's stats from the last 7 games, it shows quite clearly that while Jimmy Butler, as it seems, doesn't always have the best shooting percentage, where he makes up for it is in his points. In every one of the last 4 games, not including the one in which the Sixers should have been moving on to the Eastern Finals, but of course, we can get into that in a moment, Jimmy Butler scored more than 20 points. Now you might say, oh look, Game 5, Jimmy Butler scores 22 points, but they still get blown out by 30. You see, Jimmy Butler provides for the team in a way that only he can, because the way that Brett Brown coaches these Sixers, nobody else is a shooting threat like he is. Even Embiid, only on his good days, could possibly match the way that Jimmy plays. But if you look at this, you also see games where it's a lot closer. Jimmy Butler, 25 points. Jimmy Butler, 22 points. 60% field goal percentage. 50% field goal percentage. And if you compare that to Game 7, 16 points, it's a very stark contrast to when we lose and when we win. Because Jimmy Butler is one piece in this giant machine of the Sixers organization during these playoffs. But it relies on Jimmy Butler to be that scoring machine to help prompt everybody else to do the same. If Jimmy Butler's having a good night and everybody else can dish it to him, if Ben can get him the ball when he needs it, if you can get JJ Redick to make a couple threes, you win games like we did in Game 6 and Game 3. Now, moving on to the next topic, this horrible excuse for a head coach, aka Brett Brown. Now, I'm not a basketball professional. Otherwise, I would be making millions of dollars a year coaching the 76ers. And Brett Brown is a coach, for whatever reason, coaching the Philadelphia 76ers. However, even as a simple fan, watching the games that Brett Brown has coached over the last year, there is a disparity in between where logical basketball plays come in and where Brett Brown likes to play basketball. For instance, take Game 7. One of the most obvious flaws in Brett Brown's game plan is when you look at Joel Embiid. Now, Joel Embiid has been struggling through the playoffs, dealing with injury as well as some off days. However, Joel Embiid, after recovering from all of those injuries, and coming off and saying specifically that he was going to leave all of his energy and all of his heart on that floor tonight. Brett Brown disappoints once again by putting Joel Embiid on the perimeter. Now, I'm not saying that Joel Embiid is useless on the perimeter. He shot threes before, and on a good night, he could shoot threes and be a legitimate shooter. However, I didn't realize Joel Embiid was a shooting guard, because a center shouldn't play on the perimeter the entire game. A center should be driving into the paint and doing dunks or layups or taking easy points where we know Joel, who is an incredible free throw shooter, can go and get and ones or go and be fouled in the paint, where if he is fouled, not only does he not turn over the ball sitting there because he has no idea what to do on the perimeter, like I will show you in just 1 second, one of my favorite plays of the game, and he doesn't also, on defense, let up shots to one of the best players in the league, Kawhi Leonard. As much as it pains me to say that, he is legitimately one of the greatest threats to any team, especially considering the efficiency in which he shoots both the three ball under contention and the fadeaway mid-range. Now, to show you that beautiful play of Joel Embiid, where he has absolutely no idea what's going on. Alright, and let's roll the tape. This isn't it, but it's up in a second. And here it is.
Down to 5, Embiid up high. Here's Harris, shot clock at 2, doubled, knocked away, stolen by Lowry, 2-on-1, Siakam.
Now, you have to understand that I have absolutely no hate for Joel Embiid. In fact, I believe Joel Embiid, with a little bit more training and a little bit more discipline, as well as a lack of injury, could be an MVP candidate player and lead the Sixers to championships. However, it is plays like that that truly sum up the Sixers game in Game 7. The absolute destruction of a Sixers possession by the Toronto Raptors, which is a reason that the field goal percentages that I showed you earlier in this video justify exactly why the Sixers lost. Does this make me any happier? No. Do I still want to throw things out of my window and yell, "Screw the Raptors"? Of course. Do I want to spend $100 to buy a Kawhi jersey and burn it in the street? You betcha. Am I going to do any of these things, though? No. I'll be too busy rejoicing that Brett Brown is going to get his ass fired. Now, I hope that all of you enjoyed my Sixers rant, and as Philly sports have basically come to a close, unless you count the Phillies, who are holding on to a chicken scratch lead in the NL East as true major sports, then this is the end for all professional sports and for all of my salvation for the rest of the summer. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and hopefully, or even if somebody screws up in baseball, or actually the Phillies manage to do well for once, maybe I'll post in their highlights video in here. But if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the fall with college football. Thank you and goodbye.